Hi everyone, this is Rion Paper and welcome to this month's Currently Inked video. We have 7 pens and inks to go through, and the theme for this month was loosely based around an album cover from a band. Is it a band? It's two people, a duo, who make this sort of synthwave music. They're called The Midnight, and I like their music a lot. And their album covers always have this very retro feel to them, but this particular combination of, blacks and dark blues with some lighter, more magenta colors. And I really tried to sort of recreate that color palette within, with the pens and inks that I have. So in the end, I don't think I succeeded that well, but it was a very fun inspiration nonetheless. And I ended up with a couple of pen and ink combinations that I maybe wouldn't have otherwise tried. So in that aspect, I definitely succeeded in trying something new for myself. So let's put these to the side and let's get started. The first pen that I inked up for this month is this Sailor Shikiori pen. This one is from the Hisakata collection and the colorway is called Stardust. And it's quite hard to see whether this pen is black or really, really dark blue. Because mostly, and what kind of distorts that is that it has blue shimmer particles. A combination of blue and I think it's silver. It's really hard to see, but overall it gives this lovely sort of night sky feel. It has a medium fine steel nib, and the ink that I put in there is this Poesy Shinchen, which translates to stars. And it's a black ink with a dark blue shimmer, which fits perfectly with this pen. Oh, wait, let me agitate the shimmer. I think this may actually be a fine nib. Now I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, it's a fine nib. It says in a very tiny engraving on the side of the nib. And the ink was lovely combination. It writes very fine. The shimmer, you can still see it pretty well in your fine nib, but you'll see it best after it dries down. I don't think you'll be able to see it now really well. A little bit. I feel like it's a very fine shimmer particle, so it almost looks a bit like sheen in the end. Hello, camera. Focus. Thank you. The second pen and ink combination is one that I recently already showed in a video, and that is the Just Turnings Mimas pen in the colorway Favnir with Rora and Klingner Alt Bordeaux. This one has an extra fine black Yovo nib on it, and it is a very wet writing combination. It's already a pretty wet writing nib, but it's especially a very wet ink. So I think the next ink I'll try in this pen will be an ink that's a bit drier, even though it writes really lovely. You can see just how much thicker those lines are compared to the Sailor. Wonder if you can hear the pigeons on the roof. They are being very, very loud. Oh, wait, I forgot to show the card. This is the card. And then the next pen and ink combination is the Lamy All-Star in Petrol, which was a limited edition from a couple of years ago with Diamine and Culpen's collaboration Little Chris, which is the 30 milliliter bottle of the ink Christine. They changed their names depending on whether you buy a small or a big bottle. But I bought the small one and it says Little Chris. It's a very dark teal ink with a ton of sort of magenta red sheen. And this one has an extra fine nib. The combination writes well. I'm surprised that it isn't too wet because the Lamy nibs tend to be a bit on the wetter and broader side. The only thing is that this nib has like one specific angle where it's a little bit scratchy, so I may have to play with that a little bit and see if I can alleviate that. But yeah, it's a nice pen and a nice ink, and I've been wanting to try this combination for ages, but somehow I never did. So I'm glad that I'm trying it now. And then we have the ink I wanted to use is Schneider Blush, which is from their pastel line of inks. And I was trying to find a pen that I could use this with, but I don't really have a pen in this specific color or colorway. So I decided to pair it with this black and silver Jinhao 82, which I think is a very lovely retro combination. Wait, I'm accidentally writing down the ink first, but that's all right. And the combination writes all right. I like how the ink looks in this pen. It's a very fun combination, I think. It does give me some hard starts. And I think that maybe because of the ink, because I have another one of these inks from this line inked up, and that one is in a completely different pen that has never given me any trouble before, but it also gives me some hard starts sometimes. So I don't have too much experience with these inks, so I can't tell if they'll do that in every pen, but I do really like how this ink looks, and yeah, it's a fun ink to write with, but it's just sometimes a little bit frustrating when you don't have a super consistent writing experience. And the next pen and ink combination also has a bit of a story. I have this Fuliwen 017 in blue black with Robert Oster Tokyo Blue denim. And I had a sample of this ink, and in the beginning it looked like this. It was like a medium to dark blue ink with not really any hints of teal whatsoever. I had that sample for I think 2 years, and I had swatched it, etc. And then I inked it up, and suddenly it was like super green. Like, oh, I don't have anything here that has that color right now. Well, you may be able to see this because then I was about to place an order for a couple of new samples, and I thought, you know what, let's just include another sample of Tokyo Blue denim so I can compare the two samples and see how they changed. So I emptied the ink out of this pen. So the greenish sort of discolored one should be gone. And I inked it up with the new sample. But I don't think I cleaned this well enough because it still writes kind of greenish. But maybe that'll change over time if I've written the feed, like the old bits out of the feed. Or there is some kind of weird chemical reaction going on. I don't know. I mean, it's still a pretty ink. Doesn't really match the body of the pen now, but it's all right. This pen writes like a dream, by the way. I absolutely love this one. Yep, that's still pretty green. Do you see that difference? That's two completely different colors. And it's not the paper, because I've swatched this on this watercolor paper, but also on Tomoe River paper, the old Tomoe River paper, which is the same as in this book. And it really was this blue. So yeah, what I think I'll do is I'll ink the rest of the new sample up in another pan and just see how the color develops in the pen, if it's the blue that it's supposed to be, and if that will change over time. Just a bit of an experiment right now, but I mean, it's not a super special blue, so I don't really care that much either way, but yeah, I thought it would be a nice one to ink up in this pen. And it fits the color palette well. Luckily it still does, but it's just a bit different now. Then we have the Tibaldi Bononia in the Pearl Mist color, which is this lovely light gray. And the ink I chose for that is Pilot Fuyue Shogun from the Pilot Iroshizuku line of inks. And that is the cool toned gray, the one that is not discontinued. The warm toned gray Kirisame is discontinued, although you can still find it right now. But it's not being produced anymore. This one is, and this is the cooler one. And in the swatch, it looks not really too similar to the pen, but when you write with it, it's a perfect match. Okay, that is interesting. The ink seems to have darkened a little bit compared to when I first inked it up last week. So maybe the pen doesn't seal that well. I mean, it looks similar now to what it did on this watch card, but when I wrote with it first, it was quite light. Although I'm thinking now, maybe that was just because of something I had inked up before in that pen. I don't know, maybe just my fault. We're not judging the pen yet. And then the last pen and ink combination is this white Lamy Safari with Schneider Pastel Apricot, which was one of the inks that I featured in my Spring Inks video, and I still stand by that. It is a gorgeous spring color. But that one is also giving me a bit of hard starts in this pen, and this pen has never done that before, so I don't know, it may be the ink. Of course, now it writes perfectly. But maybe that's because I colored in the little boxes. This pen has one of the black coated Lamy nibs, and I seem to like those more than the just regular steel nibs. which I have on this pen, for example. For some reason, I find the black ones tend to write a bit smoother. But I don't know if that's a common experience, if that's maybe because of the coating that they use. But I do really like the black ones. I think maybe I'll at some point swap the nib from the Lamy All-Star, because I actually think that a black nib would look pretty cool on this pen, especially since it already has the transparent black grip section, so why not? So yeah, these are the pen and inks for the month of May. A lovely color palette, a color palette that doesn't really feel like me all that much. I think if we look back, let's just pick an old one. I guess something like this is very me. Something like this is also pretty me. This is 1000% a me color palette. I guess more earthy colors. I mean, I didn't ink up a single green this month. Well, except maybe for the sort of slightly discolored Tokyo blue denim. But other than that, this color palette is a bit out of my comfort zone. But I think because of that, I'm having a lot of fun with it. So this is your call to ink up some pen and inks that you normally maybe don't gravitate towards. All right, this is the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.